All right, let's talk decimals. We're going to crack the code today. I've got 3 super simple rules that are going to completely change how you look at these things, turning all that confusion into total confidence. Ready? Let's dive in. You ever look at a bunch of numbers with that little dot somewhere in the middle and just your brain kind of freezes up? It feels like you're trying to solve a puzzle, right? But you're missing the key pieces. Well, trust me, you are not alone. That is a super, super common feeling. But here's the deal. What if I told you that by the time we're done here, you're going to have the secret keys to that whole puzzle? We're going to crack this code together, and honestly, it's way, way simpler than you probably think. Okay, first things first, our first secret is what I call the golden rule. And this is all about ordering decimals. This is so fundamental, right? You use this for everything from comparing prices to, looking at data. And the rule itself, you'll be surprised how easy it is. So the entire secret boils down to this one simple idea. You just can't compare apples and oranges. It doesn't work. If you want to compare things fairly, they have to be in the same format. Our whole job is just to make these numbers look the same. So how do we actually do that? Let's take these 3 numbers, 3.4, 3.04, and 3.45. Step 1 is easy. Stack them up. Just make sure those decimal points are in a perfect straight line. Now, you see that little gap after the 4 and 3.4? That's the key. We just fill that gap with a placeholder euro to make it comparable. So now we're looking at 3.40, 3.04, and 3.45. And just like that, it's simple. You can instantly see the right order is 3.04, then 3.4, and finally 3.45. All right, you got the first rule down. Now for our second secret. This one's for multiplying decimals, and I call it ignore and count. Now, fair warning, it's a totally different way of thinking, but I have a feeling you're gonna love how simple this is. Okay, deep breath. First thing you need to do is forget everything we just did about lining up the decimal points. I'm serious. That is the #1 trap people fall into with multiplication. Instead of stacking those decimals, you just shove the numbers all the way over to the right. Justify them to the right, almost like the decimals don't even exist. Let's try an example. 2.5 times 0.3. So, first part of the rule. Ignore the decimals. We just pretend they're not there for a second. The second part, we count. In 2.5, how many digits are after the decimal point? Just 1. Okay, lock that in your brain. 1. Now, let's look at 0.3. Same question. How many digits after the decimal? 1 again. So we've got 1 from the first number and 1 from the second number. That gives us a grand total of 2. Remember that number. Okay, now for the easy part. Just multiply 25 by 3. What do you get? 75. And here comes the magic. Remember our total was 2 decimal places? So you go to your answer, 75, and you move the decimal point in 2 spots from the right. 1, 2. Boom, 0.75. That's it. That is literally all there is to it. Ignore and count. It works every single time. Okay, you're doing great. Time for our third and final secret, and this one has a fun name, the decimal slide. This is our trick for division, and it is a total game changer for turning those really nasty-looking problems into something, well, simple. But before we can do the slide, we gotta know who the main character is. It's the divisor. Now, that's just a fancy name for the number on the outside of the division box, the number you're dividing by. This little guy is the key to the whole trick. All right, so check this out. 2.4 divided by 0.04. Yikes, that looks messy, right? But here's the rule, and it's a non-negotiable one. You cannot ever have a decimal in the divisor. So our entire mission here is to turn that 0.04 into a nice, clean, whole number. So how do we do it? We slide. We take that decimal in 0.04 and we slide it 1, 2 places to the right. Now it's the number 4. Easy. But, and this is a huge but, whatever you do to the number on the outside, you have to do the exact same thing to the number on the inside. It's only fair. So we take the decimal in 2.4 and we slide it 2 places to the right too. 1, whoops, we have an empty spot, so we fill it with a 0. And just like that, our ugly problem has turned into this new, much friendlier problem. 240 divided by 4. And hey, what's 240 divided by 4? That's 60. And believe it or not, that is the answer to our original, super complicated looking problem. The decimal slide, it just makes it simple. And there you have it. You've learned the 3 secrets. But before you go run off and solve all the math problems, let's do a quick final level and talk about the most common traps. If you can avoid these, you're not just good, you're a master.
Okay, let's lock this in. Trap number 1, lining up the decimals when you multiply. Don't do it. Remember, for multiplying, you justify everything to the right and then you count. And trap number 2 is getting a remainder when you divide. If you're in 6th grade or beyond, we don't really use remainder 1 anymore. Instead, you just add a decimal and a 0 to the number inside the box. Bring that 0 down and just keep on dividing. That way you get the real, precise decimal answer. So there you have it. 3 simple, powerful rules to totally crack the decimal code. You now have the keys to order, multiply, and divide decimals with confidence. Seriously. So I guess the only question left is, what problem are you going to go solve first?